Hello everyone, welcome along. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube channel, brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel Seeley, and as per usual, I'm joined by our ATP Tour senior handicapper. It's Sean Calvert on a Sunday morning. Good morning to you, Sean.
Good morning. It's nice and early, this, isn't it?
You have to do it early because we've got matches. It's a strange tournament this week. Tournament starts today, Sunday, so we've got to get the matches in early. Make sure that this goes live.
It's a Sunday to Saturday week, isn't it? This Winston-Salem. It's always a bit of a peculiar week, and it's kind of difficult logistically to do, isn't it? So the answer is do it bright and early, up with the lark and all that. Not much of a I'm like an Aleksandar Bublik. I'm not much of a morning person, but we'll try our best.
I am much more of a morning person. I like get up nice and early.
You can do
10
all
o'clock,
this,
11 o'clock is my peak time. By 5 o'clock, I'm done in. I was totally opposite when I was a youngster. When I was a youngster, I was out partying all night and useless in the mornings. But now I'm a morning bird. Nice and up and early, nice cup of breakfast, nice everything. And I like to be done by the afternoon so I can sit and relax for the evening.
I am up early, but that's because Lagan gets up at like anywhere between like R5 and sort of 7. He's up, but... So I am awake, but it takes a while for the old juices to start flowing and, getting into your brain, into all the stats and everything else. But, I think I've got some interesting stuff for today, so let's try.
Yeah, and as we said, the tournament this week isn't the greatest. It's the Winston-Salem tournament. It's a 250 event. And what we're going to do before we discuss that tournament, obviously there's still a tournament going on, and it's a big tournament over in Cincinnati. And before we go into tonight's matches, Sean, I haven't spoken to you since our pick to win the tournament. Felix Auger-Aliassime had that terrible decision against him on match point, which the argument went on for 5 minutes or so. I can assure that it went down very well in the Calvert house, surely.
It didn't. It didn't go down particularly well, but I'm not. It could have been worse. That's the way I look at it, because it's not like Felix was dominating the match and he got to match point and he kind of got robbed. Obviously, it was Draper, wasn't it, on match point? And, looking at the statistics and the balance of the play, Draper did deserve to win that match. So I'm not that bothered about that. I mean, yes, it was annoying for Felix, obviously, from Felix's point of view. I think he's played up on it a bit, to be honest. But it was a bit of robbery, but, it's not like he deserved to win. Draper was the deserved win. It was just annoying for me because we had Felix and Draper last week, didn't we, in Montreal? Draper was supposedly injured, withdrew from the doubles, and it was very, very hot in Cincinnati this week. So I stuck with Felix and sort of let Draper go because I thought A, he was injured, as he said he was, and B, I didn't think he'd last in the heat, which he almost didn't in the first match against Munar. So it was kind of ironic that Draper was the one to knock Felix out and do it on a kind of dodgy point. To be honest, I've got quite a bit of sympathy with the umpire, to be honest. I don't know. I don't see how you can call that definitively in real time when he's got 100 other things to do. It's not like he's just looking at that particular thing. He's got so many other things to do, the shot clock and the pressing his scores and all the rest of it, and making sure that everything's in order. It's a very difficult job as an umpire. If you're telling me that he could see that, the umpire, when it goes like that in a flash, there's no chance. But I think what annoyed Felix is that a lot of these tournaments have the option now, don't they, of replays if there is an incident like that. Ironically, this tournament doesn't. So, you can see why Felix is annoyed. And from a Draper point of view, he knew what he'd done, I think. He just sort of said, oh, I don't know. His response was, I was looking at Felix. I'm not sure I buy that. Well, why would he be looking at Felix when he's looking down to play a volley? He can't be looking at Felix. He knew what he'd done, I think, I would suggest. But he's right. He's right in what he says, Draper. It's up to the umpire, Did you see it? If you saw it, I'll play the point again, which is what he said. But I think Draper was just trying to come out of that looking as best he could. But it's a kind of a shame that the match has to end like that, and it's annoying for me that Felix lost in that way. It was ironic, but that's outright, isn't it? One week you get a 20-1 winner, the next week or a couple of weeks later you get a couple of first round losers. You get one which loses in a really annoying and unlucky way. But that's tennis, and that's outright betting.
Yeah, it's been a good tournament though. The Cincinnati tournament, the match bets have been pretty good. Just the unfortunate on the outright fix. I think that performance, that decision against Draper affected him against Holger Rune. I mean, he wasn't the same player.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Definitely got to his head. The criticism he was giving over that.
Yeah, he could have been feeling guilty about it, and thinking. I mean, he should probably have just said to Felix, "Look, I'll just replay the point." That's probably what he should have said.
It's on match point. There's a lot of money in it. It's like, I think.
Yeah.
If it was any other point in the match, but on match point, I think you might. If I was doing it, I would do exactly the same as Draper.
Yeah, I probably would. But as you said, it then, depending on the type of personality you are, it may have had a knock-on effect on him. The next day, some people would have brushed that off. Some people, the real hard nuts would have just gone, yeah, I've won that point. That's it. Game over. On to the next one. But I think you're right. Draper might have just have been, feeling it a little bit and feeling a bit apprehensive and whatever. But that's the way it goes.
Exactly. The tournament in Cincinnati is still in progression. Obviously, there's 2 semi-finals this season, 2 good semi-finals as well. I know we could talk about Winston-Salem, but I know I'm going to put you on the spot here, Sean, because we haven't really looked at the stats on the match. But quite interesting semi-finals actually. Yannick Sinner up against Zverev. Sinner's around about -$2 to win that match against Zverev. 4-1. Zverev leads in the head-to-head, and Tiafoe against Rune. Tiafoe's being the plus point, I think, for the week here. I think it's great to see big foe back heading into the US Open where he loves to play. He is currently around +123 with Bet Rivers, and Holger Rune is -150. Any thoughts on those 2 matches?
I've only just looked at this just now, but I mean, from a Sinner point of view, I watched him against Rublev yesterday. He doesn't look right to me. He doesn't. He's. I don't know whether he's just playing up on this, but when he's moving, I think it's to his left. He's pulling up a bit, isn't he? And he's kind of indicating that all isn't well when he's moving to that side. But I mean, yesterday it was unplayable. I mean, it was ridiculously windy. I mean, I hate playing tennis in anything more than a breath of wind anyway. But that was way more than a breath of wind. It was like a gale force wind blowing most of the time. And in fact, if you saw the match point that Sinner took, it didn't even reach Rublev. I think it reached him on about the 3rd bounce because of the wind. It was very difficult to judge a performance based on that because it was virtually unplayable. But the takeout for me is that Sinner, he's not going to win the US Open, I don't think, if he's in that condition, because he just doesn't look right at all. And of course, Rublev went back to his usual mode of self-destruction, didn't he? Once he'd kind of not taken the situation that he had, he was a set up. I think he was potentially a breakup. He was certainly in the ascendancy in the second set, and then when it went wrong for him, the rackets went, didn't they, and his head went, and it all went wrong. But as far as today's match against Zverev, again, Zverev is another one that hates playing in the wind. So you kind of have to look at the conditions. If it's windy, I wouldn't say that favours Zverev because he hates it. But the other side of the coin is I don't think Sinner's fully fit. I just think that's kind of unbettable. The other matches of more interest to me, I think Tiafoe will potentially upset the odds against Holger Rune.
I like Tiafoe, yeah.
Just on the basis of energy and motivation. When Tiafoe is playing like that, he's a handful. But when he's flat, he's beatable by most players in the sort of top 50, top 100 if he's flat and there's no energy coming. If he brings the energy, which he tends to do in these big American events, big matches, then you would favour him against Holger Rune, I think.
Yep, +123 with Bet Rivers currently for Tiafoe. They have seen some support. 4 p.m. is the match between Sinner and Zverev Eastern Time. 8 p.m. the match between Tiafoe and Holger Rune, which is going to be blockbuster stuff. Sean said there, the US Open, he can't see Sinner winning it. Well, we can't see Djokovic winning it. We can't see Alcaraz winning it. There's doubts about everybody.
One of them three will certainly win then, won't they?
It's going to be very interesting, and we'll have you covered here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match all next week when the draw is available, and over the 2 weeks at Flushing Meadow. Myself and Sean will be in the Big Apple in New York. You better follow our adventures on our Instagram and on our Twitter page at Because We Win. Okay, it's all about this week. It's all about the... before I go, I tell you what, I want Bet Rivers to do a market on the top American player at the end of the year. I think that's a fascinating market. You've got Tiafoe, Shelton, Fritz, Paul, all really close together. And there's one other. Who's the other one? There's another one. Tiafoe, Fritz, Shelton, Paul. Korda. Yeah, they're all... If Tiafoe does well this week, they're all going to be more or less next to each other in the rankings. I think it's a really, really good betting league. So come on, Bet Rivers, get the top. Who's going to be number one American at the end of the year?
Are you suggesting somebody else? I feel like that's where you're going with this.
I think Ben Shelton will be the top American at the end of the year. I think he's coming to some form. I think he's going to do well at the US Open.
He might. Well, he certainly did last year, didn't he? And he came to the US Open last year with no form at all. Ended up making semi-finals.
Yep.
Beat Tiafoe, of course, didn't he? In that match that started the Tiafoe slump, when he bottled it against Shelton. That's not me saying that. That's him saying that. Although I am saying it as well. But he admitted to that, and he wasn't really the same player for about a year after that, was he, Tiafoe? But yeah, Tiafoe tends to bring the heat at the US Open. Certainly in the last few years, Shelton as well. Cordes is still an enigma, isn't he? Can be very, very good. Small points in a match can make him lose confidence in himself, and it can all unravel pretty quickly. Who was the other one you said? Oh, Tommy Paul. Yeah, he's just struggling a little bit with injury at the minute, but top class player still. All those guys could potentially. They certainly have the potential to win Masters tournaments. I think on their best form, best week.
Yep. It's going to be interesting to see who's the number one American. Interesting to see the US Open. That is all to come here on Game Bet Match. This week, it's Winston-Salem. We're going to North Carolina for the 250 event. And really, it's not the best of fields.
It's the fifth slam, this? What are you on about? It's the fifth slam.
I don't think it's the 55th slam. It. I bet you'd like it. It's the kind of tournament you would like. I mean, it's a good. We're going to come on some of these odds here, and it's a week before a major, so it's really tricky for betting purposes. Who's motivated, who isn't motivated. I can't imagine any of these players not coming here thinking they've got a realistic chance of winning the tournament, because the number one seed is Sebastian Baez. It shows the quality of this
defending champ.
Defending champ, indeed. If we look at the previous winners, it's Baez in 2023, Manarino in 2022, and Ivashka in 2021. So not really the household names of your settings betting.
I've got some super strong trends, though, so hold on for that.
This is what we want to hear. Before we go into the draw and the runners and riders and the betting with Bet Rivers, which is probably the most open betting heat on the tennis circuit this year. What are the conditions going to be like? I can imagine it being pretty hot for everyone here in North Carolina the week before the US Open.
I think it's going to be between 27 and 29 all week. Not massively hot, but certainly hot enough. It's played on a lay-cold surface at the Wake Forest University with Wilson US Open balls. Now, this is annoying as well. The Wilson US Open ball is not the Wilson US Open ball. It is, and it isn't. So they've got two. They've got regular duty and the extra duty. And it does make a difference. And it's very difficult to tell which one they're using unless the tournament tell you, or unless somebody tells you, i.e. one of the players says, we're playing with these extra duty balls, don't like them, or whatever. All the tournaments say is ball, Wilson US Open. Even if you look on, Getty Images or whatever, there's no real way that I can see of telling whether it's regular duty or extra duty. So I took the liberty of getting in touch with the US Open and asking them what they were going to play with.
I love it when you make your calls.
I can't be doing with this.
This is typical Shorten. This is typical Calvert.
It's
Ringing
information
up to find out about the balls. This is
I
brilliant.
need the information. I can't be doing with this. The Wilson US Open. Well, great, but which one?
Yep.
Because they used to play with the regular duty, which made it lively conditions at the US Open. Last year, I think it was last year, possibly the year before, but certainly last year they played with the extra duty ball, which is slower, as the name suggests. It's extra duty, it's more durable, it's built for durability rather than sort of pace and speed. So the US Open have told me they're playing with extra duty this year, which is the same as last year. And I assume then, if that's the case, that Winston-Salem will also be playing with extra duty ball, because they tend to mimic the conditions. It's the same surface, they lay cold. There's no reason why they would play with a different ball. I assume it's going to be the extra duty. So there's 290 metres of altitude here, but conditions are still quite slow. It's, again, probably because of the extra duty ball. And since it's been on a lay cold, because they changed the surface at the Wake Forest a while ago. Last three editions, actually, it's been on a lay cold. So its only averages 78% holds and 72% first serve points won. It was pretty slow last year, as you can probably tell by the fact that Baez won it. It's not going to be a quick surface if Sebastian Baez is winning the title. So since it's been on a lay cold, averages 78% holds, 72% first serve points won, 37% of the matches have featured a tie-break. Slight trend to the unders. 53% of the matches have gone under 22.5 games since it's been on a lay cold. And over 10.5 games in set one, 34% of the matches in the last three editions. So if you're betting over 10.5 in set one, you want odds of 2.94 or bigger for that to be mathematical value. As far as the underdogs are concerned, average is 36%, but I've mentioned this several times in the past, the best rounds are the quarterfinal, semi-final, and final, and that fits in with the sort of idea that players really just come here for a couple of matches, 2 or 3 matches to get themselves, the better players anyway, the favourites, the seeds. Generally, they'll come here, if they're lacking matches, they'll try and get 2 or 3 under their belt and then sort of sack it off ahead of the US Open. So you do get a lot of underdog winners later in the tournament here. So that's the conditions. The trends might take me 20 minutes, so we'll come on to that in a second.
I like that. I like the idea of the fading the favourites when you get to the semi-finals, quarter-finals. I think that's always high before majors, isn't it? Every tournament we cover here, get a little bit of practicing, get playing, and then get across to New York and enjoy the US Open. That's the tournament you want. As I said, let's have a look at the draw here. There is 16 seeds who have got their names through to round 2. The action starts today, so head across to the Bet Rivers website or the app. You're going to see the matches today. Hopefully this podcast drops in time that you'll be able to see the content we're going to talk about. It's still live because we don't know any of the matches tomorrow yet. All these matches are being played today for the right to play the seeded players tomorrow. So all these matches we're going to discuss will be played later on this afternoon on Sunday. The matches start at around about 4:30 local time, so there is a bit of time for you to be able to get these bets across. Let's have a look at the draw, though. As you say, 16 players through. I'll give you the seeds in the top half: Bays, Hijikata, Rinderknech, Darderi, Serenduli, Kotov, Sonego, Navone. Bottom half: Borges, Marijan, Shevchenko, Manarino, Echeverry, Mickelson, Gaston, and Saffolin. Pick the bones out of that, Mr. Calvert. I have absolutely no idea where to start.
Okay, so the trends are very, very strong here. In the 12 editions of Winston-Salem, only one winner went past round 1 in Cincinnati the previous week, or anywhere else they played the previous week. So I'll just quickly run it down just to show you how this works. Last year, Baez came from 3 weeks off, and his previous event was Kitzbühel on the clay, so he'd done nothing. 2022, Manarino didn't qualify in Cincinnati. 2021, Ivashka didn't qualify in Cincinnati. 2020, it wasn't played. 2019, Hurkacz won it, lost in round 1, Cincinnati. 2018, Medvedev won it, lost in round 1, Cincinnati. 2017, Bautista Agut lost in round 1 in Cincinnati. 2016, Pablo Carreno Busta lost in round 1 in Cincinnati. The only one that didn't was Anderson, who won it in 2015, who lost in the last 16 in Cincinnati. So he won a couple of matches there. 2014, I'm going back all the way here. 2014, Rosol won it. He'd done the same as Bays, came from 3 weeks off, and his last tournament was Kitzbühel on the clay. 2013, Meltzer lost in round 1 in Cincy. 2012, Isner didn't play at all in Cincinnati, came from making semi-finals in Canada, but he took 2 weeks off. And 2011, the first edition, Isner won it again. He also lost in round 1 in Cincinnati. So you can't get much stronger than that as far as trends are concerned. Anyone that's done well the previous week, they're not likely to bust a gut here. The ones that have ended up winning the title are the ones that didn't play last week, feel like they need matches, and have gone on and they've ended up winning it. The winner, the champion, the titleist, has been priced between 16-1 and 60-1 in the last 5 editions. And the runner-up's been priced between 16-1 and 150-1 in 5 of the last 6 editions. 3 finalists in the last 8 editions were priced between 100-1 and 200-1. And only 2 number 1 seeds have ever made the final here. I've got more trends.
Keep going. We like these trends. Well, I'm looking at this graphic here to win the tournament. We're down to 31. I'm judging that your picks aren't even going to be on the graphic. Looking at these trends.
There's 26 players that qualify for the trends. I'm not going to list them all because I've deleted that off my page now, having narrowed it down. But the average ranking of the last 5 winners of this tournament is 54. Looking at the last rankings, Baez was 42, Manarino 65. Excuse me, Ivashka 63, Hurkacz 41, Medvedev 57. So that's a pretty good set of trends. You want someone who's not done anything the previous week, preferably lost in qualies or round 1 of Cincy. Someone who's ranked around about 50-ish, or thereabouts. And there you are. Those are the trends. Pretty strong.
Pretty strong. So I'm looking now at the rankings, trying to work out who Mr. Calvert will be going for, and I think I've got a couple that I quite like. But we'll We'll see that in a minute. I don't know if they fall into that trend though. Oh, no, they're priced a little bit low, but let's see where we're going. So they're the draws, they're the matches, and these are the outright odds with Bet Rivers. Francisco Cerundolo, as Sean said, the number 1 seed. So he's the tournament favourite. He's not number 1 seed, actually, he's number 3 seed. He's the tournament favourite at 8.50. Sebastian Bayes, the number 1 seed. Number 1 seeds do not have a good record here, but he's the defending champion. He's $9. Zhang playing very well, 10-1. Borges 11. Safalin 12, Marijan 14, Mickelson 14-1, Sonego 16-1, Borna Coric 18-1, Echeverry 20, Reilly, Opelka on the comeback trail 20-1, alongside Artur Rinderknech, and then it's 25-1 after that. Pablo Carreño Busta. But I'm sure this market, you could look even further down the runners and riders with Bet Rivers, and you'll find someone who's got a little bit of appeal. Look at those trends that Sean has just said there. I was looking at this here, and I originally thought you might be heading towards Marijan. Or Mickelson, but I don't think they're going to fall into your trend.
Yeah, they both won matches last week.
Yeah, so I'm quite intrigued to see where we're going. Where are we heading?
Well, that's a good question. There's 26 players that fit the bill here, so it's still a little bit of guesswork, really. I've narrowed it down. If we can just quickly go, I mean, Cerundolo fits the trends. Didn't play, lost very heavily in the first round last week. Not sure he's going to fancy going all the way the week before a major. Bayes, I mean, he won it last year, but not many. I think Isner definitely is the only player to have defended the title here. Can't see Bayes doing it. He's the number 1 seed. Doesn't fit the trends in that respect. Shang, I think, has got a good chance. A lot of these others won matches last week. Borges did. Safalin won a title yesterday at the Carey Challenger. So he's very much out as far as the trend's concerned. Marijan won a match last week, so did Mickelson. Sonego, I think, just about fits because I think he lost in qualies. I think Munar beat him in qualies last week in Cincy. But there's loads of these players that don't fit the bill. There's loads that do. It's roughly half fit the bill and sort of half don't. So I'm taking in the top half. I'm taking Artur Rinderknech in the top half. I think he's about 20-1-ish.
Yep.
Been in excellent form lately. Semi-finals in Atlanta. Last 16 in Montreal as a qualifier. He has got form as far as making the final the week before a major is concerned. He made the Adelaide final in 2022, just the week before the Australian Open. He ranked 59, which is round about right. 20-1 each way. I mean, this isn't very scientific because it's so open, this. But I think Rinderknech has got a decent chance in the top half. The other one in the top half, I'm not wild about his price, but Jerry Shang, I think, has got a good chance here. I'll probably just take him win only at 10-1. You know, he's either going to win it or he's not. So I don't think I want to be messing about with each way with him at that price. But he's been in excellent form as well. Another semi-finalist in Atlanta as a qualifier, actually. So he won 5 matches in a row in Atlanta when it was very, very hot and humid. So that's a plus for him. Also made the quarterfinalist. Made the quarterfinals in Eastbourne as a qualifier. That was the week before a major as well, the week before Wimbledon. So he's shown that he doesn't mind going deep, winning 4 or 5 matches the week before a major. Hasn't played since retiring in Washington, D.C., so that was a few weeks ago now, so he should be well rested. Ranked number 78. So he's another one that fits the trends. 10-1, not wild about it, but I'll take him win only. Do you want me to go in the bottom half as well?
Oh, yes, certainly, yes.
Okay.
We like this. Mr. Calvert
all my research.
Seems excited on this 250 event. He's like, this is research. This is at his best. This is brilliant stuff.
I love this. This is much better though, isn't it? You've got the US Open and all the other majors. Generally speaking, it's won by the best player, isn't it? This isn't. It's generally won by who has a good week, and then you can kind of figure out why they're having a good week or why they're potentially going to have a good week. This one's completely off the charts. This could go badly wrong. The last one is, I think, is around about 40-1. Aleksandar Shevchenko. Terrible form, but that doesn't matter when you come to Winston-Salem. He might have a nice draw here against, well, he was drawn against Safalin, but when Draper, surprise, surprise, withdrew from the bottom half of the draw, Safalin then moved in to become the 17th seed, if you like, and took Draper's place. But I still think... what's his name? Shevchenko has got a pretty decent draw here. Mannarino's looks like he's on the verge of retirement. Evans we'll talk about in a minute, and Vukic we'll talk about in a minute. Carreño Busta, that might be tricky, admittedly, but Carreño Busta's got to play a match against a qualifier first. We're not sure about Carreño Busta's sort of longevity in tournaments these days. He played all right last week, to be fair, but what sort of condition is he in? The rest of that section, it looks very, very open. So he's not been in great form, Shevchenko, but he has got the quality to go well at this level of tournament. He made the final in Metz when it was pretty slow indoors. I think the slower the better as far as Shevchenko is concerned. I'm not wild about him on quicker surfaces, but a slowish hard court, his best form, which admittedly he hasn't shown lately, would certainly be good enough. He needs matches, Shevchenko. He's lacking matches because he's not been winning. So he's one that should be looking at this week as a real opportunity to not only win the tournament, but to get these matches that he desperately needs under his belt ahead of the US Open. Ranked 60, that suits. And as I say, I think the slow conditions will suit him. So that is a punt because he's not in good form, but you don't have to be in great form to win Winston-Salem.
No, brilliant analysis there. Great breakdown, great trends, great stats, and 3 players for you to bet. Zhang, win only, 10-1 currently with Bet Rivers. Artur Rinnikanec each way in the top half of the draw. He is the number 12 seed at 20-1. And finally, Shevchenko, number 13 seed. Lucky for some, and hopefully for us. He is got quite a favourable draw where he looked like he may be playing Mannarino if the two progress through to the last 16, and Mannarino is in absolutely dreadful form. And he is 40-1 currently with Bet Rivers. Head across to the Bet Rivers app. You'll be able to get all those outright prices here on Winston-Salem. Now let's move on to the daily bets. And as I said, the matches start this evening. And the first match we have is Seyboth Wild against Duckworth, Jack Duckworth. This match is scheduled...
James Duckworth. Jack Duckworth was in Coro.
I said James Duckworth, didn't I?
You said Jack Duckworth.
Oh, I didn't say Jack Duckworth. Did I really say Jack? Good job I didn't say Vera Duckworth.
That's what I heard, yeah.
Well, I'm sure I should. Oh, Jack Duck. What did Jack Duck? James Duckworth against Seyboth Wild. Jack Duckworth.
Be great if it was Jack Duckworth.
He wouldn't be able to play with that little them glasses and that little bit of sellotape around his glasses case.
I'm not sure he's still with us, is he?
Bill Tarby was his name, by the way, if you want to know what Jack Duck was, the actor.
There you go, that's a great bit of knowledge.
The Americans wouldn't know that of this Coronation Street, a legendary character called Jack and Vera Duckworth. And it was played by Bill Tarby. Seyboth Wild is -120 here. James Duckworth is -104. The spread is 1.5, but it's more or less picking games. You can go with whoever you want there. Total high at 23.5. They've never played before, but again, this is a warning. The match starts today at 3:30, I think it is. 3:30, I think I said 4:30. 3:30 local time. So make sure, whatever Sean gives you a bet here or any leans, you've got to head across to the Bet Rivers website or the app and get this on very, very quickly, because we're really stuck with today with timings and also stuck with the amount of matches we can speak about because the tournament starts early because of the US Open starting next week. So it's a Saturday final here in Winston-Salem.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like it's been severely nibbled at since I wrote this earlier. It looked a bad price on Seyboth Wild. Certainly looked a very bad price on Seyboth Wild initially. It looks like some money's come for Duckworth there because he was 2.18 when I wrote this. So plus 118. Now you're saying he's -104, or the graphic's saying he is. So he's certainly been bet there, and you can see why. If you look at the last 12 months at main level on this surface, outdoor hard, service points won and return points won totals. Seyboth 93, Duckworth 97. So a decent advantage for Duckworth. If we go back further, there's not much difference. All time, Seyboth Wild 92, Duckworth 97, which is so his all-time number. Duckworth is the same as his recent number, so that's his level, basically. And Seyboth slightly better now than he was before, but only by 1 point. So a decent advantage to Duckworth, and he certainly made a lot of appeal at plus money. I imagine if you hang about, you'll probably get a bit of plus money on there. If Seyboth serves first and holds pretty easy, you'll probably get plus money on him again, I should think. But there's another bet that I quite like in this one here. Set one overs is also good value here. I hope this price hasn't changed. When I looked at it earlier, it was 3.1 plus 210 with Bet Rivers for over 10.5 games, because both of these guys are very poor on return points. Last 12 months in outdoor hard at main level, Seyboth Wild's only winning 30.5% of return points. Duckworth's only winning 29.2% of return points. which is kind of Chris Eubanks sort of levels of returning. So immediately you're thinking overs, and they're both strong behind first serves. Not as strong as the massive servers, but still pretty strong. Seyboth wins 72% of his first serve points. Duckworth 75% of his first serve points. And it's a first meeting between the two as well, so they're not going to know each other's games or serving styles or whatever at all. So the other thing about Duckworth, he's 1-4 here in the main draw of Winston-Salem, 1 win and 4 defeats, but he's played an average of 1 tiebreak per match, and he's lost in a final set tiebreak 3 times. So he's been pretty unlucky. He played 5 matches and lost in the final set tiebreak in 3 of them, but he plays an average of 1 tiebreak per match. So on the return stats, which are very, very poor on this surface for these two, I like a couple of bets. I like Duckworth on the money line and the over 10.5 games in the first set at plus 210 with Bet Rivers.
Yeah, plus 210. Duckworth the money line minus 104. If you want to trade it in play, say if Will serves first and holds the serve, you might get plus money on Duckworth as well. And if you want to play the over 10.5, or you want to play the tiebreak as well over 12.5, remember the offer we're having. It's a really good offer if you're betting anything bigger than $2 or more. Show your support of Game Bet Match by making a bet with our promo code this month. Use the promo code GameBetMatch with Bet Rivers in the US. You will get a 50% profit boost on any tennis bet, including a parlay of $2 odds or longer. This offer is good through to August the 25th for eligible players. Max bet of $25 and max win of $250. If you're a fan of this podcast, which I'm sure you are, please show your support and use this great special. So the promo code, when you go to place the wager, there'll be an option to put the promo code in, and it's Game Bet Match, and anything bigger than 2-1 or plus $2, you'll get a 50% profit boost. That brings in that bet there that we had on the overs. Okay, let's move on to our second match. Our second match is between Dan Evans and Aleksandar Vukic, 2 players that are not playing in the greatest of form at the moment. Vukic is minus 205. Dan Evans is plus 163. The spread is 2.5, minus 103. Evans receiving 2.5, minus 125. Vukic minus 125. And the total here is 22.5 with over minus 113 and under minus 113.
Yeah, I'm very tempted with Dan Evans here. I just wonder what he's got left in the tank. I mean, that's the question. He's 178 in the world now, Dan Evans. But, you know, he's been in terrible form. But how much of that is just due to the fact that he's not been fit this season? That's the question. If you think it's just because he's struggled physically with injuries, then this is a great price. Vukic's stats on hard are awful. Last 12 months on outdoor hard at main level, Evans 35% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 99, a service hold and break total of 97. So those stats are, you know, not great at all by Evans's best level. But Vukic are far worse. 22% win rate for Vukic. He's won 4 of his 18 matches. And his service points won and return points won total is 95. His hold and break total is 89. He's only held serve 74% of the time, Vukic, which is something you wouldn't expect for a guy with a big serve, big forehand, you know, aggressive game. You wouldn't expect his stats to be that poor, but they are. He had a very good grass swing, Vukic, as you would expect with the type of player he is. But since he's moved back to hard, he's gone 1-4 win-loss at all levels. That includes qualies. So the question is, are Evans' poor performances down to physical issues that he just can't shake off, or is he done at the age of 34? By the look of these odds, you would suggest that the bookies are saying he's done, because there's no other way for him to be that big. Otherwise, as I said, he had a knee issue in the grass swing. I think he had injury issues before then as well. Is he fit? Is he fit now? I mean, who knows? If he is fit, then it's a very fair price on Dan Evans. That's the question that bettors kind of have to ask themselves here. If you think he's fit, is he worth a punt at plus 163? If he's fit, that's an excellent price. I'm just not sure if he's fit. It could be the case that he's just playing out the last embers of his career. I think that's what the bookies think, looking at this price of plus 163.
Yeah, I mean, that plus 163 is currently the best price in the land. Every other book across the globe has seen money for Dan Evans and he's shorting him up all the time. Bet Rivers is still at plus 163. So I'm guessing that if you do like Dan Evans and you don't think he's spent, then you want to take that plus 163 quick, because I believe that by the time these two come onto court, which is 3:30 Eastern time this afternoon, that plus 163 will not be there. So head across to the Bet Rivers website, have a look what you think there. If you want to take the price on Dan Evans, you've got to be quick. Our next match, our final match, actually, only 3 matches today, only one tournament. It's Reilly Opelka up against Zizou Bergs. Reilly Opelka, obviously the big serving American on the comeback trail, against Zizou Bergs, a player that I've watched a few times. I quite enjoy watching him. I think he's very talented, but it doesn't seem to get the results that I think his talent deserves. Minus 195, heavy favourite for Opelka. Plus 155 for Bergs, spread 1.5, minus 152. Heavy favourite for Opelka, giving up the 1.5 start on the game handicap. And Bergs plus the 1.5 is plus 118. Total 23.5, which again is high, but you would expect that in Opelka games. Under, minus 113, and over, minus 112. So really, it's a pick-em. It's up to you if you want to go over or the under. I know a lot of you will be going over on the Opelka games. Again, these two have never met before. But again, there has been money in the last hour or so for Bergs. And this plus 155 has actually gone now, Sean. But it's currently plus 143, which, let me tell you, is the biggest price by a mile in the industry. I think that Bergs will probably start around about plus 110, looking at the way the market is going at the moment.
Yeah, I'm surprised at the odds on a set one tiebreak here. I think it's quite big for an Opelka match. If his last 20 completed main level matches on hard courts, Opelka's played a set one tiebreak 14 times, which is 70% of the time. And several of those were in places like Indian Wells, Delray Beach, which isn't particularly quick. 70% works out odds of 1.43 or minus 233, but we're getting plus 195, 2.95 at Bet Rivers that this goes to a set one tiebreak. Just feels a bit big to me. Berg's got no real track record at all on outdoor hard at main level. He's 0-6 win-loss on this surface at main level. But a lot of them were, in previous years. So he's got no real hard court form to get any data from. But he has won a title on hard at challenger level. I think it was last year. And he's certainly got the ability to win this match or make it go close. He's a player that's on the upgrade, certainly this season. He's headed very much in the right direction. He's certainly got the ability to add to this list of tiebreaks for Opelka, which is huge. Pretty much 70% of his last 20 matches gone to a set one tiebreak. That tells you all you need to know, really. Bergs has played big servers a couple of times, lost in 3 sets to Mpechi Pericard at Queen's Club, also lost in 3 sets to Shelton in Houston, won the first set there. It just looks big to me. Set one tiebreak plus 195. Bergs has certainly got the attacking game to get Opelka moving around, which is what you want to do with the big man. You don't want him standing and delivering. You want to get him moving side to side, up and down the court if you can. Bergs can certainly do that. He's a decent player. So yeah, I think we have to take that price. I think it's bigger. It's bigger than I thought, and so that suggests it's a bet.
Yeah, as we're speaking, the Bergs price and the money line has actually dropped even further. It's plus 117 now for Bergs. There is a huge gamble on the Zizou Bergs.
Big, isn't it?
It's a big move. Plus 155 down to plus 117. But surprisingly, even though the match has got closer in the betting, the tiebreaker stayed the same. It's still plus
I'm
195.
looking at it now,
Yeah. So that's interesting to see how the money has come for Bergs, but those derivative markets where total games you would expect to go move when there's a closer game has stayed the same. So that might be a little bit of value there to go on the tiebreak, which is currently plus 195 in set number 1.
It could be a fitness thing, this, couldn't it? Because we know Opelka's struggled badly over the last 2 years with injuries. Maybe some bit of information has come to light that he's not fit or something like that. That's potentially what's gone on there. Because he was about plus 160 odd this morning, I think, Bergs. Now he's plus 117. That's quite a big move.
Very, very big move, yeah. 7:30 tonight, that match as well. So you've got a bit of time to sort of that and hopefully have some extra money in your pocket before that. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, no, I mean, conditions are slow. I mean, so it's not automatically one that you think, oh, yeah, tie breaks. But as I've said, it doesn't seem to matter too much the conditions on a hard court for Opelka, he still plays tiebreaks at Indian Wells, where it's dead slow, and Delray Beach, where it's not particularly quick. His return stats are awful. We've been through all this before. His returning stats are so poor that tiebreaks are just very, very likely, and that price just seems bigger than it perhaps should. If I was the bookie, I wouldn't put it that big. Let's put it that way.
No. Yeah, plus 195 does seem very generous. Just falls below our offer, though. We want the $2 to get that 50% bonus, and that would have been a lovely little play. But do remember that offer, promo code. Make sure you get across that game bet match, the bonus up to 50% profit bonus on any tennis bet of 2-1 or bigger. There's plenty of 2-1 shots you might be able to find, and parlays you might be able to find across the multitude of different markets available on the Bet Rivers website. Thanks again for following us on our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Because We Win. Huge amount of people following us there, and a huge number of people joining us on YouTube as well on the Betting Weekly studios. Thank you very much. The content on the soccer, the first week of the Premier League and the European leagues, was phenomenal this week. Lots of new subscribers, so welcome on in if it's the first time you've watched Game Bet Match. Myself and Sean will be here 3 times a week, and when the US Open starts next week, there'll be so much more content coming your way. So keep watching, ring the bell, be notified of every time anything goes live, and you'll be able to watch it here and get all the best bets and the best betting advice. Our profit this season, level, minus 0.86. Think about all the numbers of bets we've given, just level, but we'll be surely hitting a bit of profit in the US Open, and hopefully here catch a couple of nice big tickets with those brilliant trends that Sean has suggested there. Make sure you download this podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, and a shout out to Rory Girani. He has Paola Badosa at 40-1 through to the semi-finals in the women's draw in Cincinnati, one match away from a 20-1 place. So that'll be absolutely lovely as each way pick there, who is in action this evening against Jess Pekula. One final comment. The matches, as I said today, the tournament starts a day early. It's Sunday to Saturday. So make sure you get across to the Bet Rivers website nice and early to put the wagers down that we have discussed. And before I go, Sean, what are those wagers again?
Yeah, okay, so the match bets, set 1 tie break between Opelka and Bergs at plus 195. And I'm taking 2 bets in the Duckworth match, Duckworth against Seyboth. Will Duckworth to win it, and over 10.5 games in the first set at plus 210. That's Duckworth against Seyboth Wild. And on the outrights, Shevchenko each way 40-1. Jerry Shang just to win it 10-1, and Rinderknecht each way. Artur Rinderknecht 20-1 each way.
Some great bets there. Great analysis as always, Sean. Enjoy the Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Got anything planned? Any football? Anything happening?
Nothing happening at the minute on the football. Lagan plays football basically every day. He's at football camp sort of most days, so he's just sort of slobbing around watching YouTube and playing Fortnite today, I think, and that'll be about it. Well,
enjoy your day. Last bit of the sunshine here. Enjoy it. Make sure the most of it. And we've got some hard work coming your way over the next couple of weeks with the US Open starting next week in New York. Thanks for watching. Take care, and see you all again very soon.